This is the Sports Porch, Black and Gold, with your hosts, the technical director, the Grand Schwalbini and Hockey Jesus. Come on, Pittsburgh. Let's show a little Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates love. The Sports Porch Black and Gold starts now.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Porch. As you can see, we are without our technical director this week. Where is he, Mark? Off at some suave island somewhere?
I don't know. Mr. Big Bucks. He's down south somewhere where it's warm.
Yeah, and we tried to bring in the counselor, but he's still a dad, still got dad duties. So looks like it's just me and you this week, Grand Schwalbini.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We don't need the counselor.
I think we can handle this all on our own because what do we got to talk about this week? Well, this week we're going to try and put an end to the Aaron Rodgers saga, although it's
still going.
But it'll probably never end. Let's face it. We're probably stuck with this for a very long time. So we're going to give our latest hot takes on the Aaron Rodgers saga. We have to talk about the goings-on over at PNC Park. Lots going on over there.
More exciting stuff not actually happening on the field.
Yeah, and most of the stuff actually we will be talking about isn't what's going on the field. It's what's going on the Clemente wall or not going on the Clemente wall.
Or what's flying in the air.
We'll get to that in our second segment. Of course, we are going to give a nice little tribute to Ovi. We're going to have a little debate about whether you think Ovi or Sid is more deserving of the player of the century when it comes to their play. And we always finish with what we're watching. I think we got a couple good hot takes for that. Mark's got a good one. I got a trending one. So I think you want to stick around for that. You ready to do this, Mark?
I'm ready. Let's roll.
Oh man. Well, let's pull up the picture that Chris loves to show all the time. There he is, still wearing the Jets helmet.
Where quarterbacks go to die.
It's our buddy Aaron Rodgers. Mark, will this story ever die?
It will not. I mean, look, I think we all want it to end. It would be great if he decided that he wanted to play for the Steelers and he said, I'm going to play for the Steelers. And we had a press conference and all of that. But we are now just simply left with, is he going to announce something on the Pat McAfee show? Because it's in Pittsburgh. Is he going to wait until after the draft? Is he going to wait to see if some quarterback on some other team gets injured? Blah, blah, blah. I kind of thought the same as Cam Hayward when he spoke a few weeks ago. It's like, look, either you want to be on the Steelers or not. Make up your mind.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy because, before when you wanted to come to the Pittsburgh Steelers, it was always like, of course, we're going to welcome, past talent to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now it's like people are kind of just like dipping their toe in the water. It's like, do I want to go there? Do I want to go there? Do I want to go there? And actually, something I read this past week, which is not a surprise. It sounds like the big thing that's separating the two are money.
Okay, right.
Who would have thought that it would always come down to money? Like I'm sure that Aaron thinks he's worth, 30, 35 million. And I'm sure the Steelers want to pay him 10, 15 million.
Right.
And I don't think either side's going to budge because let's face it, if you're the Steelers, and I'm going to take the Steelers point of view on this one, I wouldn't pay him, what he wants. Why would you do that? Nobody else wants him. It doesn't make any sense for the Steelers to just chuck another 15 million his way. That'd be my take with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I imagine that they could come to an agreement if it was 30 million. Because he's probably looking for 40 and they're probably looking for 20, let's say. So I think if they met in the middle, it could happen. It's just going to be,
Yeah.
who jumps off the ledge first. I mean, because the reality is, you can look at it from either side. I mean, from Aaron Rodgers' side, it's like, hey, do you want Mason Rudolph to be your starting quarterback? And then from the Steelers' point, it's like, well, hey, who else do you have an offer from, Aaron Rodgers?
Right. Exactly.
So
Yep.
it's like they both have a point, but you got to meet somewhere in the middle. So, look, I think that Aaron Rodgers does want to play. I think he wants to, continue his march on the record books.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine he will play. I guess just the big question is, if you're the Steelers, what it comes down to is, um, you know, does Aaron Rodgers signing or not signing before the draft have any implication on the draft?
Well, it's interesting, and OC Chris Chad is in the house. Hey, Chris. You're saying that you think that we were right when we said Mason plus a drafted quarterback is looking like our crew. I don't think it. I don't think it is. I think that was a HG. I think that was a Klein take. But I don't actually think they're interested in getting a quarterback. At least maybe this is just me hoping and wishing they learned something from the Kenny Pickett debacle, because it's a down year for quarterbacks, and everybody's talking about Jackson Dart, but there was something that happened this past week where it was like, nobody said this out loud, but Tomlin supposedly blew off the meeting with Jackson Dart, and then the PR guy from the Steelers came out and said, no, Tomlin was there. He absolutely was there, and he didn't blow anything off. And to me, I think that's just playing to the draft. Everybody wants to think the Steelers are taking a quarterback, so maybe if they let a defensive tackle fall, the Steelers aren't going to take him. And I think that's just Steelers trying to one up, the draft capital, so to speak. So more falls down to their way. I don't think they're going to go quarterback. Do you, Mark?
I don't think so. But did you hear this interesting nugget today about the Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe?
No, I did not.
So the interesting nugget today is, first of all, up until today, I have not heard anybody say that Jalen Milroe would be taken in the first round. Okay. No.
Yeah, I haven't heard that either.
Okay. I've heard, at best back of the second, but more like third, fourth round. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Jalen Milroe has been invited to attend the NFL draft. And it says when you're invited to attend the NFL draft that they believe that you are going to be picked in the first round.
Right. Okay? That would make sense. Yep.
And the interesting piece to it is, how Tomlin loves Jalen Hurts.
Right. Right.
He loves him. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who is the guy, RG3, who used to play for the Redskins.
Yep.
And he's like a broadcaster now, and he made a comment that Jalen Milroe, I think first of all he ran like a 4.37 or something at his pro day.
He is a running quarterback for sure.
He's incredibly fast.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he was saying that he's heard whispers that there is a mystery team who's interested in him in the first round. And then he added to it that he believes, it's just his opinion, but he believes that Jalen Milroe has a Jalen Hurts ceiling.
Oh, no.
I mean,
oh, no.
Could you imagine it?
It's just what we need. More quarterback drama, impacting the draft. But yeah, I get it. Like if you think that he's that guy, you got to go get him. Right.
Right. I mean, you do.
But when nobody else thinks he's that guy,
right?
Like the Steelers did 3 years ago, common sense has got to come in and just say, it just isn't worth it. It just isn't worth it. I mean, let's face it, the Steelers have blown the quarterback position for a while now. Nobody thinks that they're going to be able to pick up Jalen Milroe, for example, and basically just make him the number one quarterback and their franchise quarterback in a year. It just seems improbable that would happen.
I mean, I heard them talking about it on the Pittsburgh sports radio, and their thought on it was they felt, Jalen Milroe is basically Justin Fields. He's an incredible running threat.
Yeah.
Who's got really good arm and a great skill set, but he's just an unfinished product. Right. And so if you were thinking about going the Milroe route, why wouldn't you have just kept Fields? It's kind of what their thought was.
Yeah, I mean he's already played in the league. Well, right. Maybe it's that surprise factor, but yeah. I don't know. I just get the feeling like since they got Khan in the mix, that these guys are not in the surprises anymore. OC says, didn't Milroe underwhelm at Alabama? I'm looking at his stats here. He had 205 completions for 2,800 yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Yeah, I mean, that's 16 touchdowns to 11 interceptions isn't really wowing you when you look at that. But he did play for Alabama, and Alabama is a team last year definitely underwhelmed. So I really hope they don't go that way. And as far as the Rodgers stuff goes, I kind of hope he comes out on Wednesday and says, I'm going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler and this is done with. I just got the sense that isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
I just got that sense.
Yeah, I mean, my feeling on it is the reality is whether Rodgers decides to play here or not, it's sort of like the real result that you want, whether it's Rodgers or Rudolph, is you really want like a 6-11 season and a chance at a top quarterback next year. I mean, look, we can all dream about a Super Bowl and Rodgers comes back to form and he's throwing to DK Metcalf now. And, he makes some things happen and the defense picks it up a notch, makes some good draft picks, that's great. But I think the reality is that that's probably more unlikely than likely.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I just don't see it. TD's in the house. He's saying, please, not a first round quarterback. I think at this point, all Steelers fans everywhere just want this to be done with. And I believe that, like you do, Mason Rudolph's good enough. And if he's the guy who takes us to, 6-11, that would be great. If he's the guy that, breaks Tomlin's streak, I'm all for that because I think the streak is more important than where we need to go in the near future. And that's down a little bit lower to get some draft picks. That's going to help us into the future. Let's take this a little bit step further. Let's get away from the quarterback position. Whoever the quarterback's going to be, it sounds like that it's going to be Pickens and DK Metcalf. Sure. That's got to be an upgrade for whoever's throwing the ball. Don't you think that? I think that's the bigger story here. That now we have the number one wide receiver, Pickens. If hopefully he'll be here to play ball and he won't be his old self. Now I can't guarantee that, nobody can, but I think with those two guys, a CA3 in the third running back role, you got that Roman Wilson who didn't play at all his rookie season, also ready to come in and play in that slot position. I think their passing game can be much improved over last year.
Sure. And they may even draft a receiver in the first round.
That's true. Yeah.
So, and if not, I bet probably in the third round, So, yeah, I mean, look, the DK Metcalf is the real deal. He's the number one wide receiver. He's going to garner a lot of attention. Really, it's very hard to double cover two receivers. So Pickens isn't going to be double covered anymore because they got to roll that to DK Metcalf.
Right.
Which DK Metcalf can break double coverage because he's that good. And Pickens should be left with more one-on-one, which should really open it up for him. So I mean, I think they can be a very dangerous offense. I'd like to see them get a good running back in the draft as well.
Mm,
If they could sort of find a find in there,
yeah.
and pair them
Mhm.
with Warren and Gainwell,
Yeah.
then you have a pretty good offense, not to mention if you're able to plug another offensive lineman in there, hit on a good one in the draft. That's another possibility. So yeah, I think the offense can be better. And I think the defense has talent. I think they definitely have talent. They probably just need to play better together. And, maybe a veteran like Slay will help that. Kind of shore up things in the secondary, get everybody communicating with each other
Yeah.
really well. It won't be all up to um,
JP
um,
Jr. Yeah.
yeah. No, well, not JP Jr. I was thinking of Fitzpatrick. It won't be
Oh
all
yeah.
up to
Fitzpatrick, right in the
won't be all
second.
up to Fitzpatrick to have to do everything, so
Hmm.
he'll get a little taken off of his plate. And a guy like Peyton Wilson's going to be 1 year in the league better.
Hmm.
Um, I still believe in Benton. I think he can be a player. Sometimes it just takes a couple years to develop.
I think you're alone in that analysis.
Really? I think he
Yeah.
looks pretty
I mean,
good.
he's underwhelmed so much the last 2 years. I think at this point they know what they got there, and it's just not good enough. Which is why I think they are going to look to interior line, and that's what Chris Chott is saying. He's saying this draft's full of edge rushers and defensive linemen.
Yeah.
We certainly don't need another edge rusher. My God, we've got
Yeah.
enough of those, and I'm surprised also that we haven't signed TJ Watu's extension yet. That's a little bit of a surprise to me. I thought that would be done by now, but maybe Watt's not too worried about it.
Or maybe some of that hinges on how many dollars they give to Rodgers.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. But that's only for next year. Next year he signed for
True.
next year. So
But usually they like to front load it.
that is true. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's right. So that way you're not paying all that stuff on the back end. Because let's face it, TJ Watt's going to be a Steeler for life. Nobody wants to come out and say it, but this is what the Steelers do. They pick a guy, and he's the guy. Cam was the guy before him, and now TJ's going to take over for Cam. Cam's here for another year or two, but TJ's going to be here for another 3 after that, unless, of course, his leg falls off or something along those lines happen where he's got to give it up. I think that's enough Steeler talk for 1 week, don't you?
Sounds good to me.
Unfortunately, now we have to move to the segment that I really, really, really dislike. But before we get there, hey, I just want to say thank you if you're watching us. We're international. We're everywhere. We love YouTube. Hopefully you're watching us on YouTube. If you are, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell. We're here at 7:30 every Monday, but sometimes you can't get to it. So you got to come back. YouTube's wonderful. They'll just put it up there. You can watch it whenever you want. The best part about it is no commercials. So you got analysis for an hour. If you want to pause it in between when you got to go get a beverage, you can do it. You're not going to miss a thing. So hit that subscribe button. We're here for you. And unfortunately, we're here for you. And we need to talk about the Buccos. Oh my! This is something where I wish the TD was here for, because he can muster up some fake, positivity about the Pirates.
Actually, you know what? Before I
just can't.
Before I forget about this, because it's not that important.
Okay.
But I didn't we like a week or two ago? Didn't we decide that we were going to make a prediction on whether Jack Sawinski was going to have a better batting average this year as compared to last year? And I think we were like, well, of course he's going to hit 220 this year. Of course.
We did say well, he can't be below 200 again this year.
Right. Something like that, right? And what's he hitting, 150?
He's terrible. The only highlight I caught of a game, and I think this was in the season opener down in Miami, where there was this fly ball that was hit real high in the sky, And it was clear that the second baseman was coming out to shag it, about midfield. And he was there and he got it. And I think O'Neal Cruz was in center. And he was watching as Sawinski came in from right field. And he almost took out the second baseman. Like, they can't even get that right. They can't even get a pop fly right. Fortunately, the second baseman made the catch, but he just looked back at him like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you have to know I'm coming out. I've got this. Like, he's not going to stop to look at Sawinski. And why didn't O'Neal Cruz call him off or something?
Right.
It was like a calamity of errors out there. And so not only can he not hit, his fielding is horrendous also.
Now look what Chris Chata is chiming in with something we planned on talking about.
Oh yeah. So let's just get right into it. I saw Nutting got confronted by someone telling him to sell the team. It takes nerve for him to walk around amongst the commoners. Well, it does, but I think this guy is delusional. So I don't think he cares about walking amongst a place where he knows a firearm can't be, for example. So he's not going to get killed. Nobody can accost him at PNC Park. They would get thrown out forever. But what is he talking about, Mark? I think you know a little bit about this.
I believe somebody purchased one of those planes that flies with the sign in the air and flew it over PNC Park. And it said something like Nutting must go, sell the team, right?
Yeah,
something like that.
Exactly. And they did it on opening day. So another poke right in the eye of the Buccos. It just there's so much bad stuff coming out of that front office, but yet the owner doesn't care. The guy just doesn't care.
Yeah, it's all negativity. Like, for example, I got back from my trip from Florida on Friday, right? Walking to baggage claim, we pass a Wiggle whiskey. And I go, that's where Nutting's money's going. Not on a player, but on Wiggle whiskey at the airport.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Well, because he sold Seven Springs, so he doesn't have that as a boondoggle anymore. The other thing that Chris Chata said was he saw where is this? Is that the right one? No, that was the wrong one. Here it is.
Shelton?
He's talking about Shelty. Yeah, saw Shelty get booed out of PNC Park. I don't know about that one. You think that's justified, Mark?
No, I mean, look, it doesn't matter who the manager is with this squad. Come on.
Yeah.
You know, look, I mean, for all we know, Shelton can manage. You know, like I look back and I remember, there was a time when the Phillies were really bad. And they didn't make the playoffs for like 10 years and they were just awful basement dwellers. And, they had the guy who, as their manager, who went on to leave them and then join the Red Sox and then lead them to 3 World Series championships.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but
yeah, I know you mean though.
But I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it's like, look, I mean, he managed the Phillies to 100 losses. He was horrible, but he didn't have anything either.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I look at teams like the Kansas City Royals and the Cleveland Guardians, and they're not good either, but they can be competitive in the AL Central. Yet the Pirates, who play in an equally awful division, they're 3-7, and they got the Cardinals coming into town this week, and if the Cardinals take 2 out of 3, once again, they're going to lose ground to the St. Louis Cardinals, who are going to gain ground on the Brewers. And looks like Klein might have been right about the Chicago Cubs sitting atop the NL Central, but they're only 7-5. It's not like they're a juggernaut. You know what I mean? So
everybody will go 7-5 at some point during the season.
Klein thinks that the Pirates have crossed the Rubicon, the total embarrassment. I think they've done that long ago. TD.
Yeah.
And he thinks that Nutting likes walking around PNC Park like a peacock.
Now let's talk about what I found to be the most ridiculous thing of the entire weekend is when I saw that the Pirates decided not only to take down a Roberto Clemente tribute sign, By the way, they made the wall out there 21 feet high in honor of Roberto Clemente, of which they also had on that wall his number 21. And they decided, let's see if we can sneak this by everybody. Let's see if nobody notices. And we put down some new IPA beer or something as an advertisement. They actually thought nobody would notice and nobody would care. And I just think that is such an insult to, Pirates fans. Like, for example, my dentist is a Pirates fan. Well, now he
Right.
says he's a Boston Red Sox fan because he can't take it anymore. He couldn't take it anymore after a while.
Right.
But he grew up a Pirates fan. He grew up a Roberto Clemente fan. And he named his son Roberto after Roberto Clemente. And like, it's one of the few things that the Pirates have that is good, which is they do have some really nice history, with Roberto Clemente, with, the shot heard around the world with Dave Parker and Willie Stargell. They got some really nice history. And like, that's the thing that we decide we're taking down. I just think it's
Right.
totally asinine.
For those of you who haven't seen it, I'm going to show a picture of it. In the right field wall, here you can see the picture of the new Roberto Clemente sign. It's a Surfside drink. It's actually a tea vodka. They're very
Okay.
good. I like them a lot. But they
Okay.
put that up, and in the place before where that was, it's basically right along the foul pole in right field. And it was just a little Clemente sign at the top, and then the rest of it was green. Now they've got a big long Surfside can there, I guess, so they're enticing you to buy the $18 can of Surfside vodka. I'm surprised it wasn't Wiggle whiskey, to be honest with you.
Right. No, and let's and here's the thing too. You could have also just kept the Roberto Clemente sign and
Yeah.
moved the vodka thing down a little bit.
You know what would have been the smart thing to do?
What?
Make a Surfside can and put the Clemente logo right in the friggin' middle of it. So it's like you're tributing Clemente, and by the way, buy a Surfside because we love
Right.
Roberto Clemente. They could have gotten both of it.
Right. Could have been a
They're
nice
just so
little deal with the
terrible.
family. You know what I mean?
So
Now,
terrible.
did you know that they did come out and apologize?
The Pirates?
Yeah, they apologized and they are going
And
to correct it.
yeah, they're going to do something to put it back.
But it was
I
just an
guess.
honest oversight by the president of baseball operations. I'm not even sure who it is, but it was so clear that he was taking the bullet and that it wasn't going to be put on Nutting, because he was like, I am the only person responsible for this.
Well, I have a little bit of a nuanced take on this because
Yeah.
I hate the Pirates, and anytime I can bust on Nutting or the Pirates for some sort of controversy, I'm all for. But the reality is the Pittsburgh Pirates have a lot of homage towards Clemente. Just like you said, the wall is 21 feet in right field. They got a freaking bronze statue of the guy outside the park that's gorgeous. They named the bridge after him in the city of Pittsburgh. So it's not like just taking down that one thing, everything's gone about Clemente. And the fact that his son was complaining about it, I get it. I get the link. But I mean, and I'm happy that he's causing this controversy because I hate Nutting as much as everybody. But I think the Pirates love this. You know why? Because it distracts the people from talking about how terrible they are on the field and how over the past season, this off season, they did zero to help Paul Skeens. And that's where I want to get to my next question. Are they wasting Paul Skeens? Is this the season where Skeens just can't even help the Pirates, get out of their funk? The Pirates are so bad that not even Paul Skeens can save them. I'm starting to think that's going to be the case.
Well, Paul Skeens is a competitor, and he's going to go out there and pitch. And he's probably going to have a really good record when it's all said and done, and a good ERA because he's that good. But are they wasting him in terms of, using his skill set to build a winning team, 100% they're wasting him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the biggest problem. Look, we can all understand there's small market teams, there's big market teams, some in the middle. If you're a small market team, you have to win through the draft. Okay.
Right.
And if we go back to the wild card years, McCutcheon was part of that, right? And Neil Walker was part of that. And the pitcher Garrett Cole was part of that, right?
Garrett Cole, yeah.
And so, you build a few, and Skeens is one of what you hope will become a few. And then you add free agents who can, balance the team out and make them, more competitive. And they just didn't add anybody of any value at all. They really didn't. I mean, they brought in like a guy like Tommy Pham. I mean, he's done, man. He's washed. I know he got a hit to win the game yesterday, but he's washed.
Yeah, and that team that you were talking about, they also brought in AJ Burnett, on the cheap,
right?
But,
right,
hey, it looks like looks like the TD decided to make a ghostly appearance.
Yes, boy, do you look bad.
Boy, you look like you got some sun. You're so dark. What's going on? Can you talk? Or you got that?
Can you find yourself? You don't look like you're living the life.
I am living the life, but I this connection down here is really bad. So I'm just going to tell you that ditching the Clemente sign. Oh boy, what a total embarrassment for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I'm gonna take myself out of this now, just because it looks bad.
Well, bring back some sunshine with you.
And I'll see you guys.
But it sounds like the Clemente thing angered you to the point that you had